Hi, everybody. Sometimes you have a conversation and you say really important things, but then when the camera stops, all these other important things are said. And we just got through filming our opening session on serving in complicated situations. And my panel that I had for this session represent really deep service commitments, situations that kind of scare some people and overwhelm some people. And we had this great conversation, and I hope that you've watched that. Actually, I encourage you to watch that if you haven't. This is the after conversation, and I just wanted to capture it because some very important points were made about the importance of the small things. And I'm just going to let Fred actually start this conversation and just let everybody kind of chime in and recreate the conversation that we just had, because my heart is that you really need to hear this conversation. So what were we just talking about?
We were discussing people serving in different variety of ways, whether it's giving or dropping off tangible items. And my part was saying we want to make sure that we appreciate everybody. Sometimes we want to appreciate the big gifts of a donation. But sometimes people feel left out.
Yes.
Or not needed because they didn't feel like they feel guilty that they didn't come out and volunteer physically, but they gave something behind the scenes. So we got to be intentional about making sure people feel appreciated in what they're doing to keep them people involved and making them feel very important. So that's a very important part of the ministry that God gave us. Every part of the body is important, and sometimes we only appreciate the head or the eyes or something, and we don't look at the toe, we don't look at the finger. It's important. And so as Christians, we got to make sure and be more intentional about making sure that we appreciate everybody that serves in the same way.
Yes. And if you're watching this as a standalone, you haven't seen the other session. This is Fred McKinney, and he is with Area Relief Ministries. And he was talking in the first session, he was talking about serving the homeless population, which is a big kind of service situation, but just dropping off shampoo or going through your closet and having an extra coat is something that means so much to your ministry.
It does.
Absolutely. Paige,
Yeah.
you were talking about the small things that maybe people don't think about, ways that people can serve if maybe the idea of going into your facility is something that they just know emotionally they can't do. Maybe they have their own past, or they just know that that's not what God's calling them to do. There are other things that might seem small to them, but really aren't small.
Right. I think all of us in the different areas that we serve and many nonprofits have kind of this list. If you ask me, what do y'all need? I'm not able to come out, but what do y'all need? And it's a blessing to have individuals like that, because we do need things, and it can range from school supplies, because our girls and our boys, and when they're in treatment, they go to campus, they go to school on our campus. And so there are school supplies to hygiene products. Yes, they ask their families and they bring them with them. But some of our families, it's really hard because of their own financial situations to fill that up, and replenish, or what they're asking for, they can't right now come on campus because of our pandemic guidelines. And so they're having to mail, and that's just such an additional cost for them. So it's hygiene products. It is replenishing things throughout our year that need to be replenished, like their bedding in their dorm rooms. After, several, because we washed all the time, right? So we have to replenish sheets. We have to replenish bath towels and shower curtains and different things of that. With the girls, we give them a welcome bag when they come in. And it is a completely girly welcome bag. It has a blanket for their bed. It has a little makeup bag in it that we ensure you have your mascara, that you have blush, that you have your lip gloss, your chapstick. and just a little neutral palette. And it has their curriculum workbooks for treatment. It has a Bible, and we have a church that provides Bibles for us, and that is the part of their mission with us. And so when they walk in their dorm room, they have a welcome bag sitting there for them, and then their uniforms, and it's amazing. And so some people want to give those items, purchase them, go to Amazon and send it on the wish list, or give a gift card to the place that we buy. Some people would prefer to make a financial donation because they understand maybe some of the guidelines and things going on. And so they want to make sure that what is given falls into what is able to be there. And so that can be, Melissa Summer is our development staff right now, and she is amazing in her creativity. She does like a $5 or $10 Friday, and she'll post a need, and you can just give $5 to $10, but you are creating a pool that we can pull from to use for that specific need, so you know where that money's going.
That's amazing.
Writing cards. People who have sent cards to our campus for our staff to pray for them and pray for refueling in their spirit and their heart, but write encouraging letters to the girls of just, we're praying for you, and we hope the best for you, even though we don't know you. That blows their mind, because some of them don't have families that are writing.
Right.
And that can be hard when you see the other girls getting something like that, right? So there's so many things that you can think about that are just as impactful and just as amazing and grateful as when you come and spend time.
Absolutely.
It is. And we just all agreed with that, that, you know, we talked about the time, but we didn't tell them there's other ways.
Right.
And as I've been someone who has struggled with the fact that I got involved in Mission Jackson, but in my phase of life, and I loved it so much, I could not have that intense commitment. And I had to kind of look at myself because I felt so guilty because I couldn't do it. And had to step back, and had a wonderful friend in the group who just shared, and I'm in the field. I'm in the field. And I did not connect that with my own self. And so if I had that struggle, and I felt guilt over that, because I had my one track mind if I had to be there to be a part of it, I can't imagine what people in our community could potentially feel.
Yes.
And or not realize this is a small way. But in your mind, but to us, it's huge.
Absolutely.
And I just think that we all just kind of started talking about that was such a big deal, and to let people know that is a huge part of giving and serving the Lord too.
Right.
Even
Exactly.
if it's a toe.
That's right.
Whatever.
Yes.
We need it all. I need
Yes.
my big toe.
Not everybody is.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And there's no levels,
No.
because if you don't have a toe, it's hard to walk around.
You're
right.
Very
Right.
important. Robin, you said something that I just want to be really quick with this, but you were talking about levels. Like you had an entry level of service, and that people kind of sometimes get their feet wet in that entry level, that basic level, and then they kind of move up.
Yeah, so I just think that's important. And that's just from a church standpoint. But after hearing both of you kind of talk about that, it's really kind of universal. I mean, and so it doesn't matter what you're looking at. There are different. I don't want to say that one is more important than the other. So when I say levels, understand they're more like entry points.
Right.
If you're talking specifically about a ministry in our church, like sex trafficking and our partnership with Scarlet Rope, even inside that specific ministry, you have different entry levels. We have a group of people that have told me face to face, I'm never knocking on the door. Terrifies me. You'll never see me do that. But I'll help fill those little bags that have all the women's toiletries items in those every month.
Right.
That's their entry level. That's all they can do. You know what? Without those bags, When someone asks us, do you have any lipstick? Do you have any shampoo? Do you have any soap? Without those people doing that, we'd have to say, no, we can't.
Right.
And then you have, the team that goes and serves, and it doesn't, last Wednesday night there was a foot of snow, and here we are, and we're out there, and that was tough, and they were committed. And then you have all these places in between, just all those different entry levels. They're so vital. That's how this conversation started. It's not you come and show up or you're terrible at serving.
Right.
No, it's you be obedient to what God has called you to do.
Absolutely.
From what you think is the very least. Sometimes they're the biggest impact.
Absolutely.
Some of those things are the biggest impact. It's not always about being present. That's very impactful too. But you have to be obedient to what God's calling you to do.
Absolutely.
And with that, and I will not go long, I promise. With that though is also realizing meeting the need first is how you build some connection with them. It is very difficult for people who are struggling, and hear me say we all struggle in different ways, but in these very vulnerable situations we're talking about, oftentimes to be open to even hearing the gospel.
Yes.
Because I have needs. I cannot think about that yet. I can't have this conversation about who your God is yet. I'm starving. I have
it's hard to give
no
someone
items.
spiritual food when they're physically hungry.
Amen.
Really?
Yeah, you're right.
It's
really
that
what it comes you got to meet some of those basic needs that show you see them and you care about helping them.
Yes.
And there's no judgment and there's no stigma. I just want to help you.
Amen.
And you don't have to give me anything back, because a lot of these individuals and what they've been through, it has been, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, in some form of a statement or underlying message. And you can see different behavioral changes sometimes when you do that, because you're like, no, I just want to give it to you. And that is forming those open door connections and conversations.
Absolutely.
That somebody will even allow you to pray with them or share a verse with them.
Breaks down barriers.
Or tell you about our amazing Jesus. Because, you met a need first.
Right.
And you didn't judge me. And you didn't say some of those statements I've heard. You didn't do this. You sat with me, or you just brought something to me and you didn't want anything in return.
That's so new.
So meeting those basic things.
People are not used to that. You talk about shocking somebody into being open and wanting to know who you are and what you have to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Our mantra, basically, with a faith-based initiative, is meeting people where they are.
Absolutely.
We say that constantly, and it just fills people's souls because we are so used to transactional kind of relationships. So I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you, fam.
Not only did you
Thank
do the
you.
session I wanted you to do, but you did an after session. But I hope that you've heard our heart. We just want to make sure that we invite you to serve, and we want you to know that all ways of serving are so important. That's one of the beautiful parts of God's kingdom, is that we all have different gifts and we all have different callings. And so thank you guys once again.
Thank you.
And again, if you're ready to serve, we're ready to connect you. Thank you.